You talk about democracy a lot in this interview. And I just can't help thinking, you know, the SNP want a second Scottish independence referendum. You didn't like the result of the first one. You want a second referendum on Brexit because you didn't like the result of the first one. I mean, how many referendums do you need to see before you accept what people are telling you?
Well, look, the UK's in a mess. That's not my fault, and it has to work its way out of that mess. Now, let me just take on a couple of the, I guess, insinuations in that question. Yes, that's absolutely true. I didn't like the result of the 2014 referendum. I wish it had gone differently, but I accepted that result. Scotland is not independent today. I simply take the view that, particularly given everything that's happened since, in any democracy, people have a right to change their minds. As far as the Brexit vote is concerned, Scotland voted to remain. So all I'm trying to do on Brexit is to stand up for how people in Scotland voted. We want to remain part of the European family of nations. We don't think the EU is perfect, but we understand the benefits that come from that. If Scotland is independent, we continue to be the best of friends and neighbours to the other parts of the British Isles, but we can also continue to make our contribution and play our full part in the European Union and further afield. That's the kind of internationalism that is at the very heart of the Scottish independence movement.
So if Scotland did have a second independence referendum and voted to leave, would you like to see a confirmatory referendum once the terms of the deal and the terms of the departure were made clear, like you want to see in Brexit?
No, and I don't believe that we should equate the two things. I don't believe that that is an inevitable part of any democratic referendum process. The problem with Brexit is that nobody was straight in advance of the referendum about what it meant. There was no detail. It wasn't the kind of informed decision that the 2014 independence referendum was. I oppose Brexit, as I think you've probably gathered, but there was nothing inevitable about the mess that Brexit has become. By contrast, in 2014, of course, people took different views, but there was a detailed prospectus put forward. People were very informed about the choices they were making. A lot of thought had gone into the compromises and the trade-offs that would be required if Scotland voted yes. These two things are not the same. I would always want a Scottish independence referendum to be informed with a lot of detail so that people were taking a careful and considered decision. So let's not assume that the mess Brexit has become and some of what might be required now to get out of that mess is an inevitable part of a democratic process, because it is not. That's the failure of the politicians who put forward that Leave prospectus and the ones like Theresa May who tried to implement it without recognising that she was putting forward a lot of contradictory red lines in the process.